Hey everyone, I've had a lot of people come into my stream recently, and after watching me play for a little while, they've asked me to let them know how I built my healer, which allows him to do so much damage. So today's video is going to be a very detailed description on how I built my life staff focused based healer that is also able to do very good damage and at the same time be extremely tanky. Now this is done with 4 basic big steps. First step, obviously you've got to spec focus, as you need high focus to do great healing. Now I know what you're saying, but wait, hold on, life staff sucks for damage. True, but wait, just hold on, let me explain. As you can see, my build allows myself as a healer to also dish out some very respectable damage. Here I am in an area with mobs that are anywhere between 1 and 3 levels below me, and that's basically just the area that I'm questing in at the moment. And as you can see, I'm able to kill mobs very quickly, which allows me to also level at a very quick pace for a healer. You'll also notice that I'm wielding a 2-handed axe. But wait, you say, a 2-handed axe is strength-based. That is correct, but you can change that. Let me explain. So step number 2, obviously, is you have to choose your weapons. Now, as a healer, obviously, I have to go with life staff as one of my weapons. With choosing life staff and maxing out my focus, this also means that I'm going to be doing a tremendous amount of healing. Now, for my second weapon, which would be my primary DPS weapon, I've chosen for the time being to go with the 2-handed axe. The method that I'm using to get high DPS as a focus-based character will do well with basically any weapon. So if you prefer to go with bow or fire staff or whatever have you as a healer, you're more than welcome to do so. In fact, I plan on carrying around 4 weapons in my bag with me at all times, and all should be able to do very good damage. Your second weapon, or your primary DPS weapon, can be anything as long as it has a gem slot available to it. And this is kind of where the magic happens. There's gems that can be crafted and easily obtainable called amber gems. Different cuts will have different power, and early on in the game, you'll probably only have access to cut flawed ambers until people get their skill raised. As you can see by reading the tooltip, the cut flawed amber will have your weapon's damage scale off of focus rather than the normal stats such as dexterity, strength, or intelligence. So you can basically buy any weapon that you want as long as it has one of these gem slots, slot in one of these amber gems, and it'll force your weapon to basically scale off of focus instead. So you could have a fire staff, a bow, whatever you want, and have it scale off of your focus rather than dexterity, con, intelligence. Now on to step 3, because this build doesn't just stop with swapping the stat of the weapon. That's just the beginning. We do the exact same thing to the gear that you get, and a great place to start is your faction vendor gear. You can take this gear, again, normally it's got con and a stat that isn't focus, and change that stat into focus. We do this with another item that you buy off the faction vendor for very cheap called the Covenant Cleric Seal. As you can see once again with the tooltip, this will change your faction armor's attributes to be con and focus. This means that your weapons, both DPS and life staff, will benefit even more. Now, step 4 is, I guess, optional, but I would strongly advise that you do so, and that would be buying or obtaining a second set of a different type of armor. One of the great things about this spec is how tremendously adaptable it is to different situations. If you're just roaming around doing quests, you can stick to light armor for dodge, rolling, and movement, so you can get around the zones quickly and kill mobs quickly, etc., etc. However, if you're in a battle over territory, you can swap over to heavy armor, and suddenly you're a frontline healer, still doing respectable damage, but helping hold down the lines with additional heals. All you have to do is obtain a second set of armor, of heavy armor, and apply the Covenant Cleric Seal to that piece as well. Now imagine multiple toon spec like this and added to the fight. It could very well turn the tide of the battle. How about range DPS? Maybe you want to be a bow user or a fire staff user, and then you can swap to life staff for additional healing. Also, if your primary DPS weapon is a 2-hander, and the target starts to move away, you can swap back to your life staff for ranged DPS. Now, normally the life staff is not normally thought of as great for DPS, but with such high focus, it actually does get the job done. The last thing I'll say about this spec is the points into life staff and your weapon. I'm not going to go into each weapon and give a talent spec for it for obvious reasons, and some of these powers are obviously very situational and subjective. As an example, with life staff in any territory war, I would always have Sacred Ground and Beacon, along with passes that I feel are necessary. Again, these are situational and subjective. You might have a different playstyle than my own. Now, I know I've made this build sound like it's the best build in the world and it's amazing, but there are some negatives about this build that I want you to consider before you actually start using this build to decide whether or not maybe it's right for you. First of all, you're a healer first. You will never be as high DPS as other classes simply because you don't have a second weapon to swap to with more cooldowns to use. As you are using life staff as one of your weapons, your options for CC are also limited compared to a second DPS weapon. This can be a very big disadvantage, as others in the fight will be able to swap to other DPS weapons with much better CC to help control the fight. Also keep in mind that you will not be getting the additional bonus that you get for every 50 points that you put into strength, dexterity, or intelligence, which is obviously an additional loss of DPS. You would, however, get the additional bonus that you would get for every 50 points that you put into focus. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if the video was at all informative, please consider subscribing and giving a thumbs up. It really actually helps out with the algorithm. If you have any other questions or just want to chat about New World or any other MMOs, please feel free to stop on my Twitch, where I stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/Alodar. Thanks, and have a great day.